Hey Rhonda, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are things? Actually, before I ask, are you still in Texas at the moment, or are you back home?
Yeah, I'm in Texas. I came here about, I don't know, I think it was like 6 weeks ago, and
Yeah.
I was here through the snowstorm and everything. So yeah, I'm still in Texas. I'll be here for my fight.
Okay, so you're doing your full camp in Texas then.
Yeah.
Okay. And then are you gonna come right back home after the fight, or are you gonna go back to Texas? What's your plans?
Well, yeah, I'm gonna go back to Canada after my fight and just chill for a bit and get my stuff together and see what happens after that.
Okay, okay. Well, before I go any further, thanks for taking the time to come on my podcast. I appreciate it. I know you're getting ready for a fight. So I'll jump right into it here. So before I
Okay.
get really into your fight here, let's just kind of talk about the beginning of your MMA career. So, I mean, I know that you kind of started off as like a pharmacy technician. Now you're an MMA fighter. So, at what point did you decide, hey, I want to be a fighter?
Fighting. Well, I used to wrestle. I wrestled in
Hmm.
high school, and I did, and my parents wouldn't let me continue with wrestling, and so there was a little gap in my MMA career, my fighting career, where I went to school and I was depressed because I couldn't continue with wrestling and everything,
Right.
and then I got to jujitsu, and that's when I once I got into jujitsu after I finished school. So I finished school, went right into jujitsu, and did full-time work, full-time training after that. And then from there, I got into boxing, and then I was like, okay, let me try MMA. And the moment I got like into a cage and I fought for the first time, I realized like this is my calling. This is what I need to do. And from there, I just continued both, pharmacy technician and fighting. And then eventually, fighting made more money than working in a pharmacy. Yeah, so this is where I'm at now.
Yeah, of course, of course. And it does, I think I feel bad for the fighters, especially the ones that are starting out right now during the COVID, because a lot of them have to do their full-time or part-time jobs while training and with everything going on. I know I understand that probably training wasn't easiest for you living in Windsor during the COVID last year.
Yeah, last year was a really, really tough year for me.
Hmm.
Like being able to cross the border for Mackenzie Dern, I got to train with my coaches for like a week and a half, barely 2 weeks, and then like week of training in Vegas. And then for my last fight, it was a 2 weeks notice fight as well. And no one's showing up to the gym, no training partners. So it
Hmm.
was a difficult year, but um I know like I have a lot more in me to show you guys, and I wasn't able to do that last year, but it was just a bump in the road, and I'm just moving forward, and figured moving to Texas for this camp is, putting everything, like we're more open here. Everything's open, everything's like you just wear a mask and you're allowed to go everywhere, and everyone's training and everything. So it's a lot more you have more opportunity here right now through COVID. So it
Hmm.
was smart for me to come out here.
Yeah, and I know Windsor's been a really, really bad throughout Ontario. I know Windsor, Toronto have been really the hardest places. I know here in Chatham Kent, so I'm only about an hour away from, or about 40 minutes away from Windsor, and I know Windsor's just been ever since the beginning. Really, it's just been bad. So it's been unfortunate for athletes just in general. Um, but how I know that you do, obviously, you go across the board there at Michigan top team. So was there any point that you were able to train over there or no?
I wasn't at Michigan top team. I haven't been at Michigan top team for a really long time.
Oh,
I
really?
was at,
Okay.
yeah, in Arbor at final round MMA. So
Okay.
it's been so I train. So I drive like an hour and a half at least every day. There and back, hour and a half
Hmm.
there, hour and a half back to get training I need for this camp. And it was just difficult, like constantly crossing and then constantly being quarantined. And people know I cross back and forth, so I'm getting criticism for like walking my dog.
Right.
Like I can't even walk my dog. Big deal. I understand it's COVID and everything, but it's just me and
Hmm.
my dog, and it was just hard, like listening to all this. And finally, I was like, it's not the traveling that was hard, really. It was more like you show up at the gym and you don't know who's going to be there that day. You know, a lot of people are
Hmm.
not willing to take the sacrifice of going in there and just training with you, and it's totally understandable. But it just, my career's, at risk here. So I needed to do something different.
Hmm. Yeah, and let's talk about you traveling to Texas. So, was there any point where you had any trouble being able to go over there, or how did the restrictions go?
So I have a work visa through the UFC. So there
Okay.
was no real, back and forth. As long as you have a work visa, we're allowed to cross the border. And if you don't, then there's no way of you
Right.
crossing, really. Have like immediate family or something like that.
Hmm. So, did you still have to like self quarantine for so many days, et cetera, or how'd that all work out?
Not in Texas.
No, not in
So I
Texas.
just got here and they're just like, yeah, come to the gym. So it's been good. And thank God I don't have anything and I haven't caught anything. So,
Hmm.
um, you know, I'm just being really careful. Everyone's pretty careful over there. So, yeah.
So over in Texas, I know that I kind of got to see. I looked up a little bit of your social media. I know you got to train with like Lauren Murphy, people like that. I think it was Lauren Murphy. Have
Mhm.
is she kind of been your main partner? Who you normally been training with for this camp?
No, I'm actually training out of Travis Luter's gym with
Oh, okay, okay,
Kevin Holland's corner there,
okay.
and we'll actually talk to them. They're the ones that convinced me to come out here, and they've been really working with me. And we travel to Dallas to train with Lauren Murphy and some
Mhm.
of her. So yeah, we travel a lot on the weekends to get work in wherever we can, and I love that about these guys. Like they're not like, oh, we only train here, and these are, you do what you need here. They're more open to like, hey, let's go get work over there. Let's go get work over there. Wherever we need to go to get the right amount of work in, that's where we're going. And so yeah, I'm mainly out of Travis Luter's gym.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I guess before I talk about your opponent, with this upcoming fight, does that with that freelance of being able to train more and having that ability to really just get more of the training in, and not having so much restrictions with the times, do you feel more? Do you have more of the insurance going into this fight than you have previously last year?
Yeah, last year was tough. I don't I don't feel comfortable if I'm not getting the right training in.
Hmm.
I mean, like, my training, my coaches in Michigan, they help me out a lot. They try to do what they can, but they can't force people into the gym to train with me during the pandemic.
Of
So
course.
they're, you got to do this. You got to do what's best for you. And going into this fight, knowing I got 3 losses, I'm not really thinking about that. I'm just thinking about like being here, being able to train like I used to, and being able to like have training partners come in and train with me. I feel like I'm not the same person I was last year. I'm
Hmm.
like, and if my opponent's expecting what she saw last year, she's gonna be in for a surprise.
Yeah, and I do want to talk about her now. So, I'm gonna probably say her name wrong, but Luana Pin Hero, whatever her name is. I feel like I'm kind of cursed when I have to bring up names when I do my live streams. Every card I cover, every single name I have to do. I can't get them right. Yeah, but with Luana, so I mean, she seems like she's had such a run outside the UFC, including the Contender Series. So what kind of statement are you trying to make with this newcomer?
I'm not really looking at her like I'm just looking at like going in there and being myself and like being
Hmm.
able what I've been holding back. I feel like I've been holding back a lot, especially last year. Not being able to do what I know I can do, and like, man, like I was training at a different way with my strength with my stand up last year, and for this camp, I've been letting go more, and I'm hoping to go in there and showcase my skills and be able to be myself with letting my hands go and my kicks go. So yeah, I think this girl's gonna be in for a surprise if she's expecting to see what she saw last year. I'm not looking at, oh, what does she have to come in with? We
Hmm.
already know, like, She likes her judo throws. She likes she's a brown belt in jujitsu, and that's fine. And I've got a lot of black belts that I'm training with. I've got a really here. So I'm excited to see what she has to bring. I'm excited to get in there and just be myself and like just let go.
Well, and it's interesting you bring up her jiu-jitsu because you're not afraid to go on the ground too. So is that something where it's like, well, hey, you want to take it to the ground? Let's go.
Yeah, I really believe that the UFC is a different level. We're
Hmm.
level, and I don't think she's seen that yet. I don't think she was able to go in there with anybody, and I mean, like her last fight was a contender series, so the girl she fought was also not a UFC level. So for her to come in and for me to introduce her to the UFC, I'm really excited to show her what we're about.
And I know when you talked about your training, you've kind of just said you kind of just kind of let it go. You're doing what you need to do. So what are some of the things that your team have been working on?
I think a lot of it is just like I think all the coaches kind of like came together and they're like, we need to get this girl's confidence back. I think
Right,
that's
right.
the thing with me, especially after last year. Like I really beat myself up, and I'm really really harsh on myself. So they're kind
Hmm.
of like, you got the skills. Like they're working with me. Like, whoa, like we didn't know you could do this and this, and they're like, you got the skills. Like, what the hell's the problem? And then like we got to get your confidence. And one of the main things too is like letting my hands go. And I was more of a in a Muay Thai way in my last bunch of fights was a Muay Thai way, and I just couldn't get it. I couldn't like put it together. And then my coach always said, "You need more time. You need more time." It's like I don't have time, Like
Right,
I
right.
just now, so we're really working on like letting my hands go and like just using my reach and everything. And the main thing though is the confidence.
Hmm. And I think experience too is I think is going to play a factor as well. And I mean, not just your fights not the amount of fights that you've had, but who you fought. Like this isn't like your first fight in the UFC. Like you
Yeah.
fought who's who in the strawweights.
Yeah, I fought pretty much everybody.
Yeah, pretty
like,
much.
like, yeah, and and last year, like, I mean, look at the last three girls I fought. I fought an awesome pressure fighter with Amanda Ribes. I fought a
Hmm.
world champion jujitsu grappler. I fought a world champion wrestler. And I wasn't able to train
Hmm.
and I still came out all right. I mean, like came out with losses, but I'm in there hanging with the best. So it's not like I'm just fighting, unranked girls or anything like that. They've all been top girls, and that's a different level. From I know she's never seen anything like that, so I do go in there with confidence, knowing that I fought the best.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you playing all pretty much everyone. It would appear that you're probably one of the pioneers of the strawweights, really. I mean, you've been there since day one. I mean, you've been there on the tough where they were open up the strawweight division. And how does that feel to kind of have that position in the UFC?
We were the very first fight. I was the very
Yeah,
first strawweight fight in the UFC, and
yeah.
that says a lot. I mean, like I tend to forget these things, and that's where my confidence kicks in. It's like I gotta remember, like I am one of the very first fights in strawweight division in the UFC. I've
Hmm.
fought almost everybody, and that's where we're trying to build my confidence and like remember, like, hey, you're here for a reason. And I always catch myself like at training and like being able to hang with some of the best and being able to dominate a lot of girls, and I'm just like, whoa, there's a reason why I'm in the UFC. There's a reason why I'm here. And it's like you are good, and there's a reason why they have you still hanging on here. So yeah, it says a lot. And I just got to remember that.
Absolutely. And I mean, like you, Rose, Carla, I mean, you want to, actually, I'm not sure you want to, I don't think she's on tough, but
No,
I mean, Tisha Torres, all these girls, I mean, do you find you and these girls have really put the map for all these newcomers?
oh, for sure. Like a lot of us are still here. We're still
Hmm.
here and we're still top. So yeah, there's a reason why we were the best going into the Ultimate Fighter, and there's a reason why we're still around. We definitely showed a lot, and I think we really made heads turn in this division, and we still have there's so many girls out there that we don't even know about. So our division is growing. I think our division is one of the toughest.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really grown. Even with the flyweights are starting to kind of develop. I think they still have a few years to develop. But with the strawweights, I remember when they first started out, everyone's kind of criticized. And I told people, just give them a couple of years, let the strawweights mature. And surely enough, I mean, anybody can beat anyone in the strawweights now.
Yeah, it's a really, really tough division.
Hmm.
Like with Joanna, then you see that Joanna going for holding on to the title for so long, and then bam, you got all these other girls coming in. It's
Yeah.
just and they're not like regular fights. These are tough, badass fights.
Hmm.
Like like you guys gotta give us credit. Give us credit where it's deserved. Like we are badasses.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about with all these weight classes, a girl that I was talking to on Saturday, and she talked about it. She's been fighting outside the UFC, training at Glory MMA out in Missouri, and we she kind of talked about her fighting at atom weight, and she obviously wants to fight in the UFC one day, and she talked about the idea about UFC making atom weights. Do you think that's something that UFC should look into? I mean, you got Michelle Watterson, that's quite small for a strawweight.
Yeah, I think in the future, I think they definitely should. There's a lot of chicks out there who are fighting for
Hmm.
Invicta and all the other nations that are very tough and
Hmm.
badasses. And I think I think they need to build that 125 division a little more first. I think because at the beginning it was like they didn't have a 125 division and everyone was there was a bunch of chicks that were too light to be 135 but too heavy to be 115. So I think in the future there would definitely add a 105 division, but I
Hmm.
think they need to fit they need to uh, build that 125 division right now.
Of course. You talk about how there's some girls that are too small for a weight class, but they're too big for a weight class. So with between strawweight and flyweight, would you ever be interested in going to flyweight, or do you feel comfortable at strawweight?
I lately I've been really um really on top of my weight and
Hmm.
like getting I've kind of changed my diet a bit in the last three fights at least, and I've been able to walk around a 125. So I think I'm too light to be a 125er, but I think in the future if I ever wanted to go back up, I think I'd need some time to build some more muscle
Hmm.
and walk around heavier. Decide to go to 125. Those chicks are big. I mean, like when they're not
Yeah.
fighting, those chicks are pretty. I fought with a few of them. They're like, I mean, Lauren Murphy, she's huge, and Jessica I, these girls are out of competition. These girls are huge. So if I want to get into
Hmm.
that division, I definitely have to pack on some muscle before I get in there. But
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
it might be an option for the future. I wouldn't say no to that.
Okay, okay, it's a possibility, and yeah, and that's one thing we chatted about, Ellie and I, was the fact that like a lot of these girls, that are fighting at strawweight, they're walking around at flyweight or 135 weight, and and the girls that are fighting at strawweight, they'd be better at atom weight because they have to go up and they're so much smaller, and these girls are coming in, they're much bigger than them. And I think that's one thing I see kind of an issue in the UFC is a lot of these girls. I mean, for example, like Jessica Andrade, I think she was fighting at 135, I believe, and then she's fighting at flyweight and I think even at strawweight. So, I mean, like, do you think that's kind of an issue that they should address?
You mean like with the weight?
Well, with the weight
Like,
and fighters missing weight because they're fighting at like they're cutting too much weight.
um, I think we all have an option. Like, we all have a choice to whether we want to cut that much weight or not.
Hmm.
And somebody like Andrade, she's a lot shorter than a lot of us. And when she was
Hmm.
at 130, I feel like she was a lot like more muscle and stuff. I I don't know. Like, yeah, it is tough, but at the same time, we all have a choice. We can like, especially now having these options of being able to go to 125 if I can't make the weight. And yeah, it sucks to see so many people not making weight, but uh, I don't know. I just feel like we have an option, and if we choose to do, and people are gonna cut weight no matter what, and I don't know. I just think that it's your choice.
Of course, of course. And I know you're, kind of going back to your fight. I understand that you're focusing on UFC 260 at the moment and your opponent. So I mean, with this kind of bright future that you're setting out for yourself at the moment, what does 2021 have in store for you?
I think it's gonna be I don't want to jinx myself or anything, but I'm just
Right.
focused on me. I'm on doing whatever I can to be the best I can, and I feel like I've fought. I felt like I fought in the past with my hands tied behind my back, and moving forward this year, I'm just planning to be my best and to let go and just have fun. Like you kind of like lose yourself in this game, especially with the losses and the criticism and the constant criticism. You kind of lose yourself, and you kind of lose the reason why you've gotten to the sport in the first place. And I'm just trying to get back to just having fun with everything, and training with Kevin Holland and seeing how much he has fun. He has so much fun sparring, training. The whole time he's laughing, he's cracking jokes. He just loves it. And working alongside him is just reminds me of like, okay, this is supposed to be fun. Let's have fun
Hmm.
with this. And that's what I'm moving towards this year is just have fun, get your training, work hard, and just have fun with it, and good things happen when you have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I know that you're just doing the camp in Texas at the moment, but is that something that you are kind of considering? I know family's important to you, family's in Windsor, but is that something that you're in talks about, or what do you want to do there?
I like it here a lot. I like
Hmm.
I like the fact that like the coaches are all like constantly like looking out for me. I mean, they were like that in my other gyms too, but just also having everything in one place rather than traveling to different places. And
Right.
I don't I like the coaches are really cool, and the training is good. There's lots of girls here for me to train. Lots of girls are coming out all the time to come train with me, and I love that. Not having any girls is really really for a fight camp especially really really sucks. So having all these girls out here to train with all the time has been awesome. So yeah, I can see myself coming back here in the future, and being able to put my family aside and just focus on training feels really good, and not having to drive 3 hours a day to get to training. It's such a privilege that you guys don't realize you have, like these other people who like live here. I'm like, man, you know how happy I am in between training sessions to be able to go back to my hotel room and just chill. Like I couldn't do that before, so
Hmm.
it's a lot of so yeah, I definitely come back here.
Well, it does definitely sound like this training camp is really setting the site for your fight and in the near future. Um, before I let you go here, I did want your predictions for. Actually, are you going to be watching the fights this weekend or no?
Um, Possibly. I will
Possibly.
probably. I'm not sure
Okay.
yet.
Well,
Yeah.
with the possibility of you possibly watching the fights, uh, what's your prediction for all the three main events or three title fights?
So it's Israel versus
Jan Blachowicz, yes.
yeah. I think Israel has is having lots of fun. I really like to see like when fighters are just having fun, and they're just going in there and they
Hmm.
dominate. He's gonna have a good fight. I think he's definitely gonna win that fight.
Hmm.
I think is Nunez
Nunes and
versus.
Anderson, yes.
Yes, I think Nunez can't be touched right now. I think definitely Nunez is a different level than Anderson,
Hmm.
and I think Nunez is gonna walk out with a knockout. I think so. And I'm not sure. I forget what the other fight was.
It's Jan and Sterling.
Jan and Sterling. That's a good fight. I'm not sure about that one though. Sterling, he's hungry. I'm not sure about that fight.
Yeah, it's definitely one that a lot of people I've talked to are not really sure about. Um, I think they're very equally matched, and that's where it makes it
Mhm.
kind of interesting. It's kind of like the best man wins, best fighter wins kind of night, I think.
Yeah, I'm not too sure who's gonna come out of that, but it's gonna be a really good fight. I think maybe
I
go to
think
distance.
Yeah, and I think so too. And I think Jan has shown that he's not just a first round knockout artist. Like he won 4 rounds with the beast Aldo, or four rounds, 5 rounds. I think it was 4 rounds with Aldo. So he can definitely hang in there, I think.
Yeah, it's a tough fight. I'm excited to. Hopefully, I get a chance to watch it. But I got a tough weekend coming up, so we'll see how I feel after that.
There you go. There you go. Well, if you do, I hope you enjoy it. And again,
Thank,
good luck with the rest of your training camp. I hope you're enjoying it. And good luck with your fight on at UFC 260.
thank you so much.